we tend to treat everything with a pill in Western medicine. And I think increasingly there's people and mothers who parent with homeopathy top of mind increasingly. Tell me a little bit about just, having a household that was more from the earth. And as you know, Boiron is our sponsor for today's episode. So I'd love to just hear some of the ways that you were treated as a child by, from your parents, if they introduced homeopathy, and what types of things you would use it for.
Yeah, I think there's such a difference with that where I come from, the Netherlands, and also where I grew up versus like in the US. I started using Anneke from Boiron when I was really young. So my mom used it. We always had it in the cabinet at home. And if I would fall, my mom would either use like the cream for bruising or calendula on my cuts and scrapes. And it's very common to use those like almost, I would like to say, the remedies that my grandparents would use back in the day. It wasn't very common to use medication right away, like antibiotics or stuff like that. So I really grew up with that. And it's actually kind of like a funny story, because when I got older and I went to a trade show in the US, I saw this pop-up tent from Boiron. And I walked over to that tent and I was like, I love your products. And they're like, no way. And I just gotten off like an injury where I had a really bad bruised leg. And I showed the guy the photo. And he was like, oh my God, that's insane. I was like, yeah, I've been using your product since, my mom introduced me to it. And that's how I got connected with them as well and started using their products more and more. And it's a very organic way that we connected. And it's an awesome way, right? Because I love their products, and homeopath. Did I say that right? I always
you got it.
Homeopathy medicine is something that I think is so important in the day nowadays where we live in, right? We're so surrounded by other medication or stuff that is not actually really good for us. So yeah, I've been a big fan for a long time.
That's wonderful. I think people don't realize, and I talk about this a lot, just as somebody who's a content creator, as part of what I do for a living, people don't realize how authentic most of the partnerships are, or at least should be, if you're doing it the right way. I'm sure there's plenty of people who talk about products that they don't really use, and that's on them. I can't say anything about that. But so often, I reach out to a brand and it sounds like this. Oh my God, he's so cute. Just for context, because this needs to go in the podcast, her big, adorable dog just came in and started licking her face. Who is this?
This is our black lab, Fisher. And
Fisher.
It's so funny. Anytime I go on a Zoom call or a meeting, he knows like my attention goes somewhere else, and he starts like coming into the camera and starts like bugging me. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing? Can we like hang out?" I'm sorry about that. I'm just holding his hand now.
Please don't apologize. That's amazing. And look,
yeah.
Speaking of like the healing power of nature, there's nothing better than a dog kiss.
Totally, I love it. Yeah, they're awesome.
So let's talk a little bit about your rise. Because I know that after, so now you've kind of like accomplished so much in the BMX world. You're 14 and now you're going through your teens and you decide it's time for more. So tell me about that.
Yeah, I think after like ticking some boxes, I was looking for some new challenges, and then mountain biking came into my life and it opened up a whole nother world. Because so the difference between BMX bikes is BMX bike is like your smaller bike, little wheels, and it's on a track that is designed. It's normally in one little area. And then mountain biking is something we do outside in the forest, a bigger bike. It has full suspension. So it opened up a whole new world to me to start riding mountain bikes and also start racing, right? So that's how I kind of got into it. And I really started at the bottom and had to work my way up, because I'm from the Netherlands. Mountain biking you do in the mountains, and the Netherlands is as flat as a pancake. So it took me some time to get used to that, to work with like gravity and different bikes and all that. But I love the challenge of something new and making my way slowly to the top again.
That's awesome. And is that when you moved to the United States, or it took a while?
Yeah, it took a little while. I did a lot of racing in Europe, and then I knew that if I wanted to keep progressing, I needed to find a place where I could train all winter long. So the winters in the Netherlands are fairly cold, really short days. And I had been to California a couple of times, and I was like, man, like who doesn't want to live in California, right? So I knew some friends, decided to, spend a couple of winters there, and then eventually decided to move to California. And it was a great decision because after that, I, progressed more and was able to tick a couple of more of those boxes off on my list of accomplishments.
Can you tell me a little bit? I want to hear about like arriving in California. Where did you live in California? What was it like?
The American dream, right? Especially if you come from Europe. So it was awesome. I lived in Orange County, in Foothill Range, a small place, like kind of towards the canyon inland. And it was great. It was a very big challenge, because you leave everything behind, family, parents. You basically start all over with a couple of suitcases, and you have to, figure things out, and start to find a routine in life in the area that you live, and get better. But it was fairly easy, that part, because the riding was so great in California, and having like amazing weather helped with all of that. So yeah, I really enjoyed my time there.
So when you got there and you would go out and ride your bike, like take me through it. Did you go out with friends? Were you going out in these canyons? Like I'd love to hear, like, paint me a picture.
Yeah. So my weeks were always really planned out by my coaches. So I would have a strength training coach, and then I would have like an endurance coach. So my schedule was set. And during the week, I would normally ride by myself because the hours I had to make on the bike for endurance were normally like a couple hours a day. Then I would go to the gym, weightlifting 3 times a week. And then the weekends, I would normally ride with friends. I would find a good group of friends that I had over there, and join the ride with them. So that's kind of how it looked like when I was out there when it comes to training.
Was there any adversity? Like, do you ever experience sexism in the sport? And I'm just wondering what it's like being a woman in that sport.
Yeah, I've never experienced that. I feel like the world of mountain biking is so open in that it's just about sharing the passion we have for cycling. And it's such a powerful thing. I think like any sport, right? And a lot of people find a sport that they love, and it's an outlet. It's great for mental health. And I never felt like it was something that because I was a girl that guys were like kind of looking down on me. Not at all. It was very motivating, to be honest. Like the people were very helpful, and like, help you push to get better. So yeah, no, that's pretty awesome in mountain biking, I would say. Everybody's really helpful and support each other. Yeah.
That's wonderful. And actually, it's interesting because I competed in one of the only sports where women and men compete against each other in the Olympics, at horseback riding.
Yeah.
So we're not even split up. It's just you're a
Yeah.
horseback rider or you're not. So I identify with that. What about potential romantic partners? What did they think when you told them what you did for a living? Were they intimidated? Because it's just so badass.
Yeah. No, the partners I had before my current partner, they were all into biking as well, into mountain biking. So they really understood my lifestyle. And the same with my current partner. He is into biking too, and into sports, a lot into snowboarding and wakeboarding. So it's really nice that you can just kind of share that action sport side of the love that we have for that, right? So yeah.
Beautiful. So then the trajectory of your career from that point. So now you've won world championships in BMX, and you're like, time to take over the world in mountain biking. So what happened next?
Well, first I was not that great at it. It took me a while to get the hang of mountain biking, but I was really determined. I was like, hey, it's one step at a time, right? And I got better and better over the years. There's multiple disciplines when we talk about mountain biking. It's kind of like, even horseback riding or swimming, there's like different categories that we have. And I always focused on the gravity side. So on like the downhill, and we have something that's called dual slalom and four cross. And with my background in BMX, that fitted me really well. And I won the world championships in 2011 for the first time in four cross. And that took me quite a while. It took me a lot of years to get there, even to the point where I think some people started doubting if I would ever win it, right? Like before every world championships, and the world championships is not like a World Cup, but it's a 1 day event. It's once a year, you have to like get your act together if you want to win that race. And I had become second, third, crashed before, but I had never won it. And then finally in 2011, everything clicked. And it was such an amazing feeling because my parents came out. It was actually in Switzerland. They traveled out to Switzerland. And to finally cross the finish line and be the first one to cross that line was like such a big weight fell off my shoulder because it had taken me a long time to get there. And yeah, that was the moment where, you know, that's like kind of what we said earlier. That's the moment where you feel like, okay, this is it. This is why I, you know, did all this and had all the sacrifices for it.